Guys, I am back. I know once again this is pretty spontaneous when it pertains to this live. We're gonna try this again. Guess I'll just have to give you guys a second, but I am testing this out to see if it's still dipping in and out when it comes to the connection. Okay, so if the connection is not holding up like it should, then I guess I'll have to delete this live and then probably pre-record the video that I want to do. So you guys have to let me know what's going on, if it's cutting in and out. I don't really know if it is right now. Yeah, I just, so I don't know. Hopefully we can maintain or uphold in here. Hey, Yolanda, or anybody else listening, you guys know, or if you listen to my last live when it came to Whitney Houston, I talked about how at some point I was planning to go down the road when it comes to history, because, you know, this is something that you guys may not know about me, or maybe you do, but I really do enjoy history. Something about it, it just really, I don't know, it just brings such, I don't know if the word is joy, but I just admire it. I really do. The good and the bad, even though it probably would be crazy to say you admire the bad, but in some ways, certain laws or certain things that we have today wouldn't be here without the bad parts in history. So I have to accept all sides of it, to be honest, even though I may not like it, but hey. So on this particular live, I'm gonna try not to be too long, because there is this movie that I really want to watch, okay? But like I said, I'm trying not to be too long. So I'm going to be doing or looking at the chart of George Washington. Again, if anytime during the video, if it cuts out, just let me know, okay? I know some of you guys just don't care. You'll just stick. I really appreciate it, okay? But just let me know if it's too bad, and then I'll just have to, like, you know, we'll just have to cut it. But right now, I'm actually trying to pull up my, hold on, let me pull this out. I'm actually trying to pull up the chart. I wonder if they're going to have the chart in here for George Washington. I'm not sure. I know I might have to go to astro.com. The chart won't look as pretty over there as it does here, but we might have to go that direction. Oh, George Washington Carver would probably be a good one as well. Oh, okay. So they do have George Washington saved in here. So, of course, we don't have to go down the history. Well, maybe for some of you guys that you live in another part of the world, and of course, you are not hip or you're not up to code or to date when it comes to U.S. history. So, you know, George Washington, first president of the United States, our founding fathers. Is he Constitution or Declaration of Independence, or is he both? He might be the Constitution. He might be one of those. But either way, so as you can see right here, Commander-in-Chief, oh, you can't see this, but anyway, Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War. And actually, I did do a past life reading on one of our presidents, and I actually did pick up that he had a past life during the American Revolutionary War. I think it was a Battle of Little Bighorn or something like that. That actually may be Joe Biden, I think, was the one that I said. But either way, George Washington is one of the founding fathers of the United States. I'm pretty sure he's on Mount Rushmore. If I'm correct about that? Yes. But anyway, so this is a little bio. He presided over the convention that drafted the United States. Okay, the Constitution. Okay, I was confused. I think, was it Lincoln is the Declaration probably. But anyway, he drafted the current United States Constitution, and during his lifetime, he was called the father of his country. Now, of course, the part that we're going to get from books, movies, etc., is all the good stuff. Okay. You know, he was born in Virginia. His family were wealthy planters. We can't, you know, ignore the fact that he was born during peak slavery, and he also owned hundreds of slaves during his lifetime. And I've heard some stories about certain things that George Washington has done during the time that he was a slave owner. We're going to see if that possibly is exhibited in his chart. I don't know, but like I said, most of the time the stories that we hear about George Washington are just good. You know, even whenever it pertains to slavery, they try to gloss over that and like, oh, it was the times. Okay, yeah, okay. So we're just going to take a look at his chart and see. I'm going to go about it the same exact way that I would any other chart. Okay. You know, George Washington has damn near been dead for thousands of years, so this is fine. If I can, I don't know if this is possible, but I know one of you did text me about Egypt and Greece, so maybe Julius Caesar would probably be a good one to do. If I don't know if we're gonna have the time and date of birth when it pertains to Egyptian rulers during their dynasties. I don't even know if the chart is going to go back that far, but I'll see what I can dig up in my downtime. Okay, but for now, we're going to start here. So, let me make sure. Still. Okay, so yeah. So let's get started, I guess. We'll just see how this goes. I think Julius Caesar will actually be a good one. Cleopatra probably would be a good one as well, because didn't her family like bring her over to Rome or whatever it was to marry what is it? Marry one of them, I guess, for something. I mean, it's kind of blurred, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. And I had to take off my jacket. So yeah. This is probably going to be, hopefully it's not going to be too long, but we're here. So let me share my window. Well, I'll just share. I don't want to share the entire screen. Okay. All right. So I hope you guys can see that. Again, if it's cutting out, don't sit up there and just take it. You have to tell me. Okay. Either way. So, I wonder if my phone's on 40%. I don't know if I can add. Let me see if I can add a camera or something. I don't have my iPhone cord, so I can't do it. Okay, we'll just have to go with it. All right, people. Let's see what we got. I'm pretty sure you guys can see my screen. So here's George Washington's chart, okay? Why doesn't he have a middle name? I never noticed that, but he doesn't have a middle name, which is actually kind of odd. Maybe during that time, middle names weren't that common. I don't know. So as you can see, he was born in Virginia, like I talked about before. He was born on the 22nd. You know, I'm just now realizing that George Washington was a Pisces. I didn't know that. For some reason, I would have pegged George Washington to be, honestly, Aquarius or a Capricorn. That would have been my guess, to be honest. But, well, oddly enough, he has a Capricorn moon. So maybe that's why I would say I would have pegged him to be that sign. So like I said before, I'm not really going to pay too much attention when it pertains to the month that he was born in, because that's just for laughs and giggles at this particular point. Yeah, we know that he's a Pisces, so we can put that down in our data sheet of famous people or well-known people that are Piscean in nature. All right, so we're going to take a look first at the day that he was born. Now, he was born on the 22nd. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the 22nd in numerology is a master number. I may be incorrect about that, but I think it is, because it doubles 11. I know 11 is a master number, so 22 has to be a master number. But I'm not working with master numbers right now. I think greats, like scientific people, engineers, great minds. I don't know if Albert Einstein was a master number. He may have been, but either way, we'll have to look at that later. So I'm going to break down his 22nd day of birth to a single digit, because that's just easier for me to work with if we're just talking about numbers here. So again, before we even get into the meat of this, we see that George Washington, based off his date, he would break it down to a 4. And I've talked about 4 before in the past on other charts. 4 is the leader. 4 in numerology is tied to the sun, but 4 is also tied to the sign of Aries, again, a lot of this stuff is going to be redundant. It's going to be kind of like, of course, repetitive. So, I'm teaching here, people. So it's just going to have to be repetitive. You'll get over it. So with him being that 4 type of energy based off of the day that he was born, we can immediately say based off of that, it's not shocking that he was in one of the highest leadership roles that you can obtain when it pertains to just life in general. Even if he possibly didn't become president, we could maybe say that manager roles, or maybe even working in careers that are more so solo type of vibes would probably have been best for him. Also, with the 4 energy, even though I believe in like Chinese culture or Asian culture, the number 4 may possibly be bad. I still have to do my research on that. But either way, this 4 energy with him, and with it being Aries is the military, Aries is weapons, Aries is guns. So it's not even shocking that he went to war, because that's settled right in that 22 energy on the day that he was born. We're right here. Okay. I know in my other videos that I do that's pre-recorded, you guys can see my mouse moving to show you direction. But here on the live stream, I don't think I can do it. Okay. But either way, so not surprising that he would be a general, or that he would be, and maybe he may have really been consumed with knives or guns. That may have been something that could have been somewhat of like a hobby for him, a dangerous hobby, maybe. Shoot, bow and arrow, we can add in that as well. You still use it to kill something. Okay. But either way, so we're going to look at our astrology and numerology guide for this, of course. Okay. And as you guys can see, when I scroll down to the number 4, we're right here. Of course, the highlights here: discipline, boundaries, loyalty, security, and determination. Okay. But we also know that the challenges with this number are you get too comfortable. You don't like change. So very fixed sign type of energy in a way, which is not shocking, because again, like I said, the number 4 in numerology is tied to the sun, just like the number 1. The sun belongs to, or the sun is tied to Leo, which is a fixed sign. So it would not be shocking that this is somebody set in their ways, resistant to change. Okay. This may even possibly, I don't really like to compare in this instance, but if I was possibly to compare it to someone, I'm not saying this is actually how it is, but we can say Vladimir Putin, or we can say Kim Jong-un. We can possibly say those type of leaders may carry kind of like that 4 type of energy. They're disciplined in their approach. Okay, definitely surrounded by a lot of security. We can say that, but we also can say they are not progressive whatsoever. Okay, but there is that fear. We can even possibly say with the number 4, there could be a fear of loss of power, which could possibly lead to the complacency and the resistance to change. That mentality of, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But how can you invoke true change if you don't really fix things that you may not think are broken, but you have to grow with the times? But this is someone who is not progressive. This is someone that will probably likely pull you back, set you back in a manner, because again, their mentality is, well, it worked this way 1,000 years ago. I don't understand why it couldn't work that way now. So we could possibly say that in today's climate, if we had a George Washington, it would probably be the worst country you've ever been in. Possibly. I gave you examples: Vladimir Putin, the Korean dictator. Lord knows what other dictators are out there that are carrying that type of energy. Okay. And that's the thing when it comes to another challenge here with the number 4, a tendency to struggle. It gives me that point of it gives me that vibe of I have to prove a point type of thing, which could be damaging. Imagine someone like this running a country, sitting at the helm of any type of Fortune 500 company. Profits will probably be in the bottom of the barrel because of the challenges. Now, not saying they can't move past that, but this is a heavy fixed sign energy. And some of you are fixed signs. Some of you yourselves may be born on a 4-day or a 1-day. So you may have an idea of what I'm talking about when it pertains to that restrictive, fixed sign, struggling to move type of energy. I mean, this could even possibly be somebody who could stay in the same house for 80 years and be fine with that, even if the house is falling apart. For some reason, they feel like that they can just slap paint or slap something over the top of it and it'll be fine. No, sometimes you just got to move. Tear the whole damn thing down. And I would possibly say maybe another thing, maybe another challenge that I may could add to the number 4 energy, even though they can build, they don't know how to rebuild. They don't necessarily know how to start over. It really does something to them internally speaking. Because remember, I said it's that fear of not being in control, I would say, with this number 4 energy. And we could possibly maybe assume that whenever it pertains to George Washington. Okay. Now, of course, if we're talking about natally speaking, number 4, number 4 or Aries, the first house, the house of self, somebody that could possibly be very selfish, maybe even somebody who possibly has had some sort of accident to the face that may possibly deal with knives, guns, may have possibly been inflicted upon them by a sibling, or could possibly be by a mother. Okay. I mean, this is just my intuitive feeling here. Maybe even the energy of possibly getting caught in an accident where you lose a limb. I'm not saying that Aries is connected to limbs, but in this particular instance that I'm talking about, George Washington, it's too many close calls when it pertains to injuries, especially when it pertains to family members. Now, I don't know if this would have been something that could have possibly happened to him. I don't know, because I wasn't born in 1732. But either way, now the lessons here: take responsibility for your actions. Now, speaking of George Washington, and just based off what we've been talking about, this may be someone who will start the fire. Will start the fire, go back to camp, go to sleep. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a panic, like, who's attacking us? I could possibly say, maybe, that this could be somebody or a leader who may sit up there and lie about an attack. Okay, this could be someone who is maybe too eager for battle, too eager to fight. I'm not saying all 4s are like this, but in this particular instance, that's just what I'm picking up intuitively speaking. Okay, like I said, you'll start the fire at night, or you'll start the fire, and then you'll have the nerve to run back to your camp and say, we're under attack. Somebody has burned our crops. Somebody has burned our forest. And lo and behold, it was you. You were the sneaky one. You started the fire. But why did you start the fire? Maybe you started the fire because you want to rise to the occasion. You want to be the man in charge. You want to try to attack for no damn reason, because you're trying to prove your strength. I can see that with the number 4. You're trying to prove your strength. Okay. He may not have really been, he may not have really been happy when it pertained to actually being president. Maybe, remember I said maybe he had a hobby of guns, knives, weapons. That's why I said I wouldn't necessarily put it past him to start a war where everything is quiet, everything is calm. And then here he goes, starting the fire. You're inciting violence. This one right here, possibly. Okay. But like I said, the good thing here is, he could be very loyal. All right. A promise of security. So, he could be somebody that knows how to get the bag, secure the bag. Don't know if he can hang on to the bag, but he could possibly secure it. Determination is going to be a big thing when it pertains to 4 type energy. Whenever they set their mind to it, they're going to do it. But on the other end, I would say, and again, this is just my intuitive opinion, I would say in this instance, this could be someone that can make up things in their head that don't necessarily exist. You can, and that's why I said this energy here of inciting violence, starting a war. You're making up something in your head. I wouldn't even be surprised if this guy, I don't know, I don't want to say possessed. I wouldn't even be surprised if this one's psychosis or some sort of maybe there was some sort of trauma or something like that may have possibly happened earlier, or this could have possibly been at birth, but he may have been somebody who could have heard voices. And I'm not even looking at the chart. I'm just going basically intuitively off of what I'm just feeling right now when it pertains to the information that we have thus far. Okay. Email me. Okay. Oh, sorry, I paused to see if you guys had questions so far. So karmic life, I haven't checked my email in the last couple of hours. So if you sent it then, okay, but you can always text me or you can just resend it because I haven't checked in about the last couple hours. All right. Anyway, so back to where we were at. So like I said, maybe there was some sort of psychosis or some sort of mental disorder or something, possibly mentally, something going on in his brain. Because for some reason, something is telling me that this guy was hearing voices. We don't know. We'll go to the chart. So now that we've kind of cut our bases when it pertains to the number 4, when it pertains to Aries, now over, and we know that the number 4 is tied to the sun. So we're going to look directly at where his sun is at. Now, first off, as you can see right here, I did enlarge this so you guys can see. Sun is in the 11th house of groups, the 11th house of humanity. But for some reason, I also do see this energy here of censorship. Okay, his sun right here, just follow, you see Pisces, you see his sun, just go directly left. We're going to look at his Uranus, this Uranus symbol in Sagittarius. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at that connection with the sun. I would bet this is someone who was pro censorship, pro you don't have free speech, even if that was written in the Constitution. This gives me the energy of who gives a damn what I wrote in the Constitution, because that's not going to be upheld anyway. We're in 1732. But I see him not really being for freedom of speech. So maybe that freedom of speech or whatever that was put in there was probably put in there by someone else. But he kind of gives me this energy here of censorship with this sun and this Sagittarius Uranus. And I only say that because Uranus, or however you want to say Uranus, it's changeable energy. Sagittarius is all about publishing. It's the guru. We can even possibly say, maybe see him burning books. Okay. I could even, was whipping post a thing back in, I'm pretty sure they were whipping post, especially whenever it pertains to religion. So if he advocated for changes, he's full of shit. I don't believe it. And I haven't even looked at the degree. His Uranus is in the 7th house. And we got to think about it, guys. The 7th house is, Libra, of course, since it's Scorpio. But either way, naturally, the 7th house is what? Our one-to-one interactions, relationships, marriage. But Libra is also the law. This is someone who feels like he was above the law. Again, even though I may write that law down and say, hey, this is law, I give you freedom of speech, that shit don't apply to me. That's the type of vibe I get from him. What I say before, just reading off of the script of our guide that we created, not progressive, take you back. I get that with him. And again, Sagittarius is, Sagittarius is travel. Sagittarius is also education. This guy, not smart. Some may possibly say he was an idiot, maybe. But no offense to him, to be honest. But, there may have been some struggles when it definitely came to not maybe relationships, but there may have been some struggles whenever it pertained to education as well. Speech therapy, probably wasn't that great of a speaker, or I can actually see him being a silent killer, literally, or a silent leader. Like, I'm not going to talk because I know I'm not intellectually as good as my counterparts. So he gives me this very devious, smirking type of face that he would have possibly had. I wouldn't even be surprised if, he may have possibly, because it's so weird, I said burning books, but that kind of reminds me of like maybe 15th century England. Was that Henry the was it Henry V, or even if we possibly go to 16th century, then we're possibly getting into the realms of Henry VIII, burning books, because it's like, he gives me that vibe. It's like, well, if I'm slow, then you need to be slow. Like, I don't even really see this guy being an advocate for education. Like that energy here where it's kind of just like, well, I didn't have it. What do you need it for? Not progressive whatsoever. But I mean, I can't ignore the times that he was born in. So back to my original observation. He has the sun in the 11th, like I said, in the eldest sibling. I don't know if he had many siblings, but he may have possibly been the eldest, or I don't know, possibly, or the youngest. One of the two. But because the 11th house is also your house of older siblings. Okay. Now, what's the opposite of Pisces? Virgo, right? So the sun doesn't really have, I don't think the sun really has much strength in Pisces, not in like a negative way. Like, it's just there. Just, hey, I'm in Pisces. Hey, I'm here. So we're going, and then his Chiron is in the 12th house. So that will be interesting to look at. And it's in Aries. So again, like I said, it's not surprising that he went to war, and his destiny is in Aries. He was going to go to war regardless. He wasn't supposed to be a president that was going to sit quietly. Even if he actually started the fire, it's almost like a part of his destiny. I think I already know, and some of you guys could probably already know where I'm going with this, about somebody who starts the war, who starts the fire. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because you got the manpower. You know that you can overtake the competition because of what you have. This totally gets, and he's in the 12th. Very sneaky. I would probably say most of his wars done in the middle of the night, probably past 2, maybe somewhere in there, 12 to 2 a.m. Okay. Definitely one of those very sneaky type of energies. Okay. And I'm going to say it. He lost. There's some type of war that they have him down on record saying that he won it. The chart is saying he actually lost that. But we know how they like to lie about history. So anyway, let me get back on task. Pisces sun in the 11th. Let's take a look. My God, whoever wrote this biography was really like George Washington, because Jesus, you don't even have this much of a bio on Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson, but I understand. But anyway, his sun is at 3 degrees. Now the third degree is a Gemini, degree. Okay. Honestly, George Washington may have been one hell of a fisherman. So I'll give him that. And that's just what I'm feeling. He may have been a pretty damn good fisherman. I mean, of course, like I said, I wasn't there, guys. Neither were you. So this is all speculation. But let's see. We're going to go to our astrology resources here, and we're going to take a look at the third degree of Pisces. Let me make sure it's not. Oh, would you look at that? The third degree of Pisces is on a fixed star, a fixed point. So the energy could bring fortune or misfortune. It's very strong here on this particular point. So let's take a look at what Pisces 3 degrees actually says. So Pisces 3, success, wealth, often very hard work and responsibility. Okay. So I would say on this one, when it pertains to, I mean, he could have honestly been a good mentor for the times that he was in. Now, what he was mentoring on, who knows? But yes, he could have been somewhat of a good mentor. It feels more so religious, honestly. He may have been a little sacrilegious, but that's just my intuitive opinion. But either way, because we have the 7th house, and this is my opinion again on just me looking here. It feels like George Washington may have definitely been like messy boots, especially when it possibly pertained to other people's marriage. Okay. And I say that because this kind of gives me the energy of somebody who will definitely steal your wife under your nose. Okay. And another weird thing is I also get this energy from him of him, I don't know, playing God would be the right term, but it seems like, I don't know, for some reason I get him like granting people divorces. It seems very calculating because I don't know why. I don't know what you would gain from granting people divorces. Like, what would you gain from that? Besides, like I said, possibly trying to steal their wife from it seems very calculating to me in a manner when it pertains to that. Okay. Maybe it's possible that he may have possibly had nannies as well. I could probably go with that. But I'm telling you, I don't really think that this guy really learned much if we're talking about early education. It's like something's not clicking, something's not firing. If it was a car, it's like his spark plugs, they're not firing, to make the engine go. I don't know what that's about. So there may have been, it's weird that I said a mentor, but I didn't say a mentor when it pertains to any type of educational nothing. Okay, maybe more so marriage, something like that. But he himself may even possibly have some sort of a mentor. But it's kind of weird. I said maybe he was trying to play God. So I don't know if maybe like there's this thing with him when it pertains to religion. And I don't know why that's just coming up so strongly. Okay, like I said, sacrilegious, okay. Unless it's one of those things here where he may even be somebody who I could see him totally pretending to be a priest. That energy of, like I said, trying to play God. Sneaky a little bit with this one. Just a little bit sneaky. Even though, like I said, to everyone, because the 11th house, even though it's not super public like that, it is your community. So to his community, he was probably very hardworking and stuff like that. And he was definitely someone. You got to be careful when it comes to Mr. George Washington, because he's quick to call you a hoe immediately. So again, if George Washington was the president today, oh boy, if you having a baby without being married to the dad, oh, he might put you to death. I mean, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, there's that playing God type of thing. This is a very confusing person, I tell you something. But anyway, so I'm going to look and see what house his 11th house, what house Pisces, what the degree is of that with his 11th house. What moon was he born on? Hold on, I got to scroll down. A waning crescent moon, okay? So, of course, this right here, the moon gets bigger as it expands over time. So that would make sense. Kind of like reaching his peak possibly as he gets older. His last name is a W, so that's Aquarius, that's Saturn, that's Uranus. I don't know how old he was when he went to war, but if he was older, that totally aligns with his last name, the theory that I came up with. But his 11th house is in Aquarius. It's always they skipped Pisces. Ugh, that's why I dislike this sometimes. But anyway, so that's the thing, guys, when it pertains to reading charts. Sometimes it'll seem like it skips. Okay. Yeah, you see, look at this, guys. It shows it's almost like Aries doesn't even exist. It's like it's a blankety blank. Okay, look. Technically, if we go one house, if we go one sign for each house, Aries should be 12, right? Because look at Taurus, is number 1. But it's like Aries doesn't exist. I still haven't figured out or understood why that is. It's just so odd, but whatever. So, I'm still going to look. I'll look up this 28 degrees Pisces because I do see his sun being in the Pisces degree. Misfortune, suicide, drowning, murder, gaining and losing friends, unpredictable. I don't know how this one died. I said this one like he's not a person. I don't know how he died. But it's so weird how his sun gives us that energy of, very hard working, success, wealth. And then we have that 28th degree, which is the degree that the entire house is in. It shows misfortune, suicide, drowning, murdered, gaining and losing friends. What did I just say, guys? I said, you have a baby with somebody in George Washington's time and you're not married to that father, he might murder you. He might kill you. Because he kind of gives me that type. Okay. Definitely use religion as a punishment. To be honest, I don't know how religious he was. I'm just not convinced. But hey, Okay. Anyway, so again, I don't know how he died, but well, that would be more so an eighth house thing in terms of death, because eighth house is death. But in this particular energy, with his Pisces house on 28th degree, he may have been poisoned by a mistress or his wife, okay? Or he may even possibly been by his own community in some type of a manner, or it was bound to happen, even if he didn't pass away that way. Like, I don't even know how he died, to be honest. I really don't know how he died. I don't. I probably should know that, but I have not a clue. Okay. So, I guess we can look at moon. And I'm not saying that all Capricorn moons are calculating, but for some reason, I find him calculating a bit to me. Okay. Maybe, not being biased, but I just find him a little calculating. Probably because that Aries Saturn right there. And by the way, I think Saturn is exalted in Libra, if I'm not mistaken. So Saturn is at fall in Aries. That could make sense. Well, I'm just like, for some reason, I find this guy calculating, and I find him someone that was very secretive about his shenanigans, especially when it pertains to wars. Okay. But I don't know if in the book of rulership, Capricorn is tied to the land. If it is, that makes sense, because you see his destiny planet is trining Midhaven. I'm telling you, this is a set up from the beginning. Set up from the beginning. Okay. So I don't know the story behind whatever the hell they said. No, that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. Okay. But the land probably had oil sitting on it. Now, this may have possibly been the time where oil was maybe starting to become a big, big thing, kind of like how it is now. They will move your ass off of land if there's some oil sitting under it. This may have possibly time period where that started to become a big thing. Okay, because Capricorn, Saturn is oil. Okay. I don't think he fought the Indians. Did he fight the Indians? I mean, look, guys, I should be doing a better job at this, but either way, oddly enough, I would probably say black people, brown people, terrified of this guy. I would probably say it. I don't see any uprising here when it pertains to Mr. George Washington. I just don't see any uprising here, especially when it pertains to, like I said, could be slaves, black or brown. Not saying that they didn't uprise against him because he was just like the greatest master ever. No, I think they were terrified of him because that devious type of sneaky type of energy that they probably saw that other people didn't see. Remember what I said to his community, very hardworking, etc., etc., etc. But when we're talking about his destiny, like landing in the 12th house and, is opposing his Jupiter in Libra, this guy's ego was out of control. He gives me that energy here where it's almost just like I start one war, let's blow up everything else. Very dangerous in that regard. Okay. Very dangerous in that regard. I don't know how the North Node does in the 8th house. Okay. But it's so interesting how because Sagittarius can also be publishing. It's so interesting how he may have possibly kept a diary. He may have possibly kept a journal. So he could even possibly been one of the first in a manner to keep some sort of recorded account, maybe in his own words, when it pertains to like the stuff that he was doing. Maybe one of the first, if not the first, to do that. Okay. But I know this is probably going to be pretty gruesome, but I can also see him keeping a recorded account of people that he killed. It's almost like maybe in some type of a manner he gets off on that because his Venus is popping in the 12th house. Okay. So again, and I'm only saying that because his North Node is in the 8th with Sagittarius energy here. All right. So that would make South Node in the 2nd. So his previous past life would kind of like be the same thing in a manner. He may have been some sort of writer, some sort of scribe or something like that in his previous past life, but he had money. So it's like he came over into this life with money, because the South Node would be in the second, in my opinion. Okay. But I don't know. I just have this funky feeling that he kept some type of diary, some type of journal with some sort of gruesome details in there. But that would probably be stuff that would probably be omitted from history, because who the hell wants to read that? But I hate to say it, it's almost like maybe in some type of a manner he got off from that, because his North Node is also in the house of, sex, intimacy. Okay. I can't tell if his Venus is in Pisces, then it would be exalted. Where is it? Yes, his Venus is in Pisces, exalted on the 29th degree, but like I said, it's in the 12th house. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about him having an affair or having a mistress. This would definitely probably be what they call I don't know what the women would be kind of like help during the war back then, if they even did that. Maybe not. But yeah. So the mistress or the affair, I mean, this kind of gives you the vibe of having, I guess, his other lady traveling with him while he is going to war, but the actual wife may possibly be left at home because his Venus is karmic. Okay, it's at a karmic degree, which represents some sort of like karmic something that needs to be finished, needs to be completed, finished up when it pertains to that particular planet. His wife may have died, okay, like maybe before him, or she may have possibly gotten maybe some sort of maybe some sort of illness. Okay, this may be kind of dark. Again, this is just my opinion, but for some reason I'm kind of getting this eerie feeling that like he may have punched her or something like that, that may have possibly led to an abortion. And I don't know kind of like why that's ringing in my ears a little bit when it pertains to him. Okay, he has Mars in Scorpio, which is at home, but it's kind of weird how I bet you people during his time, because the Mars is in the seventh house, a very public house, people probably knew the abuse or the fact that he could go there, but they didn't say anything. I'm telling you, you know how they say it's better to be like feared than loved or whatever it is? This is this guy. This is a walking fear, okay? I just feel like a lot of people, a lot of it was backhanded ways. And this is how America was born, people. This is how it was born. Right here. This is the catalyst. We can say that George Washington, his foundation, his morals laid the groundwork when it pertains to the US of A. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm just Mars, and even though they're both at home, it does bother me. It does worry me a little bit that is slipping into the 12th. It does worry me. Okay. I mean, I hate to say it, I wouldn't even be surprised if he's like slapped her in front of people. But like I said, it's that energy there of people fearing him so much so that they don't say anything. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I got way off topic, didn't I? Yes. So we have the moon in Capricorn. Now, his moon is squaring his Pluto. Moon Pluto people, regardless of what aspect it is. I mean, of course, if you have moon trine or sextile Pluto, you may not feel it as heavily as moon square or moon opposite, or even moon conjunct Pluto. But moon Pluto people can have some issues when it pertains to their mother. Sometimes it may be an instance where maybe she had a hard birth, okay? Or it could be, I don't know if his mom died giving birth with him. I would hope not. I don't think so, but I haven't read the stories. But he also can be kind of like moody, to put it. You know, Pluto is like, changeable. And then with it touching the moon, you just really don't know You may not even really know where you stand when it pertains to this person. There's that fear type of energy. Okay. And he has his Pluto, which of course is generational. He has his Pluto in the 6th house of health. I'm telling you, the people that work for him, if they were alive, they may be able to account for what I'm saying about that fear type of energy. Okay. But I also kind of get this vibe a little bit as well. You see how, remember I said before, I had that feeling that he may have been somebody who tried to play God. For some reason, I can see him almost experimenting on himself in some type of a way. And I don't know why I'm getting that. It's like a lot of this with George Washington is definitely intuitive, but with his Pluto being in the house of health and is squaring the moon, this is not someone who was particularly healthy. Okay. I mean, I don't know if lead poisoning would have been a thing back then, but it's possible because, the way we have purifiers for water now, we didn't have that back in the 18th century. So yeah, I can see him kind of like experimenting a little bit on his body or maybe other people's bodies. Okay. I could possibly see that. And then his moon does trine his Taurus ascendant. So let's see what degree his moon is in. It's in 16 degrees, which is a Cancerian degree. Okay. He may not have really. When was the White House built? Let me look at that. White House first built in 1792. Okay, that makes sense. I was just like, I don't really get him being in a centralized location when it pertains to, like, if he had to stay in the White House. This gives me somebody where he'll set up a tent anywhere. Okay. I'm getting like very swampy waters in a manner when it pertains to his moon in Capricorn. I'm telling you, man, it's like incognito type of energy. Oh, anyway, this just gets interesting. Let's look at. He may have been anemic. It's so weird I say he may have been anemic. So during that time, we wouldn't have modern medicine like we do now to like combat that. So it probably could have been pretty bad back then. Okay. Anyway, moon, Taurus. Well, I mean, this probably isn't far-fetched, but I would probably assume in this particular instance, moon in Capricorn, his mother may have possibly been mixed. Like not full 100% like white. She may have been mixed with something. Okay. But I would probably say, because moon, the womb, I would definitely say he had mixed kids. I would say that. Especially with his moon in Capricorn, and they would be away, other countries, other nations, they would be away from where he was at. Remember what I said, guys? Remember I said, I see him as somebody where he has like a wife, or not a wife, or he has like a mistress or a woman that travels with him whenever he is going to go to war or going to other places. And like his actual wife stays at home. But nobody ever really challenged that though. Isn't that weird? Okay. In the first house. Yeah. So like I said, I would probably say there's some black babies. There's some biracial babies, or definitely some mixed babies out there somewhere, or a part of his bloodline for sure. I would probably say that. Okay. But that may have already been proven, because it's possible it probably has already been proven, because his moon is making an aspect to his Taurus ascendant. Remember, Taurus is the first house. So it wouldn't even be surprising, if that actually is already out here, because, but let's look at his Capricorn moon, 16 degrees. So his Capricorn moon, look at this, very persuasive expression, sound, poet, musician. Okay. So, we can, and I said he may make a good mentor. Now we're going, and that makes sense. Taurus rules the throat, right? The voice. So this is the thing. This is somebody where he pulls you in. He captivates you. Okay. The power that he speaks with is probably unlike anybody else that they ran, across. And that's probably why he was the one, the voice, the power. Okay. But let's look at his Taurus ascendant. It is at 14 degrees. I think that's a degree of wealth. Which, like I said, this chart already tells me that he was already wealthy in a prior life and he's just wealthy again. He was just wealthy again. But this time around, he became president. So more wealth. Okay. Taurus 14 degrees. Influencer, fame, artistic, religious. What I talk about, guys. Mysterious, intuitive, self-reliance. Okay. So not shocked that he is pretty much the most famous president. I mean, we got some presidents that I don't even know. You're just like, oh, they were a president? Impossible. Okay. But not saying he would be the most famous, but is definitely up there. His Taurus is sitting right on that 14th degree, the influencer degree, the fame degree. Some of you may have that particular degree in your chart. You kind of just have to see how that is going to, how that works out with you based off aspects, other stuff included, what planet is on, how, stuff like that, all has to be taken into regard. Okay, so it's weird that the only aspect made to his ascendant is the moon, the ladies, it's like, I'm telling you, once he puts on that, it's over. George Washington, like the penny dropper, I guess, but he's still, mean as hell, I would say. But again, maybe they dropping draws because they afraid. It could be both. It could be both. I tell you that. And it's like, it's something about Greek culture or Egyptian or something the time before him. Maybe that could be the time period of his past life. But something about that particular culture, I can even possibly see him like being waited on, like hand and foot, especially when it pertains to women, especially when it comes to food. Because I think he liked to eat. Okay? Let's be honest. I would say if George was like out here today and you could probably say, slavery is terrible. But if he had to give a compliment, I bet you he would say, I really enjoyed their cooking. Did I say he possibly was breastfed by a Black woman? I don't know why I got that feeling. But that wouldn't be too far-fetched because we're in that time. Okay? So I think one of you may have said, or like you asked the question if he was half Black. I don't really, it's possible, but I feel that his mom would probably be mixed. So I wouldn't count that as half, maybe 25% or lower. But I did say he himself probably has some biracial children and they were half Black, because I would say that she was probably Black. Okay. Whoever this woman was. But it's so weird. Look at his poor wife just hanging out in the 12th house. I think he just did her so dirty, in my opinion. Okay. I think he just did her so dirty. And I'm telling you, I think he had an affair. It feels like he had a woman that was out in public and then he had this wife. But I'm telling you, this goes with that energy of when people fear you, they kind of just like let you do whatever the hell you want to do because they're afraid of what you may possibly do to them. Okay. Now, so I guess we can do the name situation. G for George. G is Libra, I'm not mistaken. So his Venus on a very karmic degree, and 29th degree is Leo. The 29th degree is actually tied to Regulus, which represents the leader. So it's not shocking that he became the leader. Look, it's almost like his destiny was to be put in this to gain back what was lost, even though it was not really yours to begin with. Okay. So this almost feels like George Washington was put in a position of power. You were there to be the muscle because something was going awry and shit's about to get out of hand. So we need to do something. We need to take back what's technically not, rightfully ours, but who cares about that? We'll just say it's ours. He's the muscle. But, the type of energy he comes with when it pertains to his attitude and stuff like that, I can almost see why he won. Very convincing leader, even if it's cruel, for some reason it draws you in. You're like, what the hell happened to me? Like, how did I agree or how did I sign up to be on this side of history? But he just pulled me in with that speech. Yes, I would say that, yes. Okay. But he's very hot and cold with this. He's very hot and cold. Okay. Where was I going? Oh yeah. G is, like I said, Libra, Venus, 29th degree. So again, another indicator, not surprised that he was famous. Not surprised off of that one. Ego. I've been saying it. The 29th degree is ego, aspiring, precise, self-assertive, inflexible intelligence. But his Venus is popping into the 12th house. We may have some instances here where maybe the good ideas could have possibly came from his wife, but for some reason, this gives me somebody who like almost damn near locked their wife away. Wouldn't even be surprised if he could even possibly have tried to throw his wife in jail for treason. Doesn't that sound like a ruler before? That sounds like Henry VII or Henry VIII. Maybe it's Henry VIII that did that, beheaded his wife, locked her away or something like that. That's what it's giving. I don't know if George Washington would have been, if he would have had a past life during that time, but we can't rule it out. Okay. It's possible. Can't rule that out. But and it's weird that I said for treason. You know how I said the wife may have possibly been locked away? She may have been writing letters too. She may have been trying to write letters in a manner like for freedom, or trying to get somebody to pay attention to kind of like, look like pretty much I'm in trouble, like a SOS. Where the hell did SOS even come from? Where did that even originate from? Maybe there's some origination SOS from this time period with his wife, because she's very, very hidden, but yet his mistress is very, very open. It's pretty fucked up, if we're gonna be honest. It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty screwed up. Okay. Oh my God, too many. Oh, okay, I can read them down here. Oh, hopefully I can. Oh, maybe not. But yeah, so let me minimize that. I'll have to come back and look at you guys' questions later. Okay. So I'm telling you, it's like wife. This kind of gives the energy waving the red flag. But also at the same time, even though his G energy is on Pisces in the 29th degree, we can say that whatever George Washington was possibly going to do was definitely going to be tied to his ego. He wanted to be somebody that people aspired to be, even if it was mean, cruel, all those words tied to, that type of energy. He didn't care. He will force his way in the door. And I hate to say it, I don't know exactly when he met his wife, but I may assume that he may even actually have forced himself on his wife, or this may have been something that he did back during that time, forcing himself onto possibly women, because his Venus is squaring his North Node in the house of intimacy. This guy may have had maybe a lot of different children, a lot of different places, and maybe most of these situations possibly came from the R word. You know the R word that I'm talking about. This is a ruler that wreaks havoc, and it's so weird how, he's on the mountain. But let's be honest, people. Again, George Washington today ain't no legacy whatsoever. There is none. Zero, zilch, nada. But it could be, he came into the time period that he was supposed to come into, unfortunately. But, it's just, yeah. Venus, Mars, Scorpio. I would say he has very heavy sexual appetite, what I just said. Okay. But anyway, I don't really get a lot of girls though, to be from him. More boys feels like than women than girls in terms of like babies. Okay. His his Jupiter, what is his Jupiter on? He's on 8. His Pluto is on 17. They're too far away for a conjunction for me. That's way too far. They're in the same house, but they're just too far away for me when it pertains to reading it as a conjunction. I'm telling you, he really knows how to get the crowd going. He really knows how to talk that talk, especially with his Jupiter hitting his Aquarius Mercury. But the thing is, he'll make you believe he's progressive, but he's really not progressive because, again, his G, his first initial, okay, is going into his 12th of loss, okay, but also, prison. That's why I said, like, locking his wife away or something like that. Could definitely see that here when it pertains to him. Okay. Yep. His Chiron and Aries in the 12th house again. And then we have, this feels like, again, you see, it's so weird because it's like, I don't know why it's given the vibe of, I don't know why I'm hearing sex crimes, but I would definitely say there are some sex crimes that would have been committed when it pertains to George Washington. Yes, in my opinion. But also the 8th house can be inheritance. Oh yeah, there's stolen gold somewhere that still has yet to be recovered when it pertains to George Washington. I don't know why I'm getting gold. Something, somewhere. Because again, like I said, the house of inheritance is other people's money. Huh. This is interesting. Could be Mexico. But back then it wouldn't be considered Mexico, would it? Because I don't think it was like, officially, labeled as Mexico. It may have been something else. But where the land where it came from may be Mexico today. Okay. That, and it feels like treasure. Like the movie like National Treasure, guys. I love that movie. Kind of like that. It's like treasure, gold, whatever, guns, definitely. And it's like his Chiron is making an aspect to his North Node, which also making an aspect to his Venus. You see, here's the thing about George Washington's wife. I think she's sneaky too. It almost gives me this energy here of somebody who could hide the guns or is involved in the plan of the stolen guns, and she's kind of like back home, digging the hole or emptying out a room for you to store the stolen guns in. Or the stolen weaponry or whatever it is. Okay. But it may be maybe George Washington actually was wounded in battle, and that may have actually kickstarted his pathway to dying. Because like I said, if we're going to look at possibility of how someone may die, we're talking about 8th house, possibly. Okay. Even though he has his North Node. And it's so weird that like his death was going to be published in the papers. So that's why I said it's almost like at some point during George Washington's reign, that may have been the first real time where like journalism or whatever you want to call it was actually put in papers because of his death, or possibly towards the end where he was about to go, pass away, die. You get the point. Again, I don't know how he died. I don't know if one of you guys said that. If you did, then I just haven't looked at it. But let me see, because let me look down here at his 8th house. His 8th house is in 13 degrees Sagittarius. Okay. So let's look at the 13th degree of Sagittarius. What does that say? Acting, intelligence, see, that's crazy how I just said that. And I didn't even know. Acting, intelligence, literature, scientific taste, great memory, and imagination. That possibly kicked off, like I said, journalism and stuff like that being published. I bet you there's probably some old diaries or some old something, whatever it is that he wrote on somewhere that possibly hasn't been discovered yet, or we just haven't really cracked at it because we're trying to respect George Washington. But if we open up that book, we might want to shut it. We probably may shut it right back because what in there may not be pleasing to the eye. Okay, may not be pleasing to the eye. I mean, I would not. I mean, I'm just sorry. There's something about this one. I just don't know if I really would trust him. Okay, because he almost gives me that vibe of somebody where because back then, they didn't have, they didn't have abortions, like how we do now. He kind of gives him that vibe. One who may try to play doctor, try to play, or he may even try to keep the fetus. Disgusting. There's like some bad, disgusting habits, I feel, when it pertains to this guy. Okay. Oh, Jesus. It is so weird. And now that I'm just looking at this chart, it is just so weird how they have put this man's face on a Mount Rushmore. And quite frankly, he don't belong up there, in my opinion. But he fulfilled his purpose, like I said, with his Saturn being in Aries. But I'm telling you, a war that they said he won, is looking like he actually lost it. Lost a lot of men. Some sort of health. Actually, I heard AIDS, but some sort of health, situation would have plagued the people that were behind him, the soldiers, whatever. Okay. Taurus, he probably was short. Maybe he may not have necessarily been that tall. I'm not really getting a very tall I'm not saying like Napoleon short, but I don't think he would have been that tall from what I'm seeing here. Okay. I don't even know how many wars he actually had under his belt, but that would probably be the main reason why he is on the mountain, because of those wars. That would probably be the only reason. Jupiter, 8 degrees. Okay. This is just like sad. Honestly, sad. But I guess, like I said, this is just the part of history that you just don't, you just would rather not. Just think of, it's just dark, if we're going to be honest. It's just dark. It's just dark. So we already went over, the W, which I already talked about. Saturn, we already talked about that. His Saturn is on the 2 degrees. Isn't that the second degree can be a degree of power? So not shocking that his destiny resulted in him achieving power. He did that. He did what he came to do. He probably is not going to be back, to be honest. I don't think he's going to reincarnate. And honestly, I'm glad. Leave his ass in the dirt. Aries, second house, abscess, literature, poetry, comedian, ease, luxury. Could have some issues with teeth. Probably didn't have any teeth. Teeth probably gone completely. And maybe something about him losing teeth or lack of teeth could have even possibly led to some sort of discovery when it pertains to maybe dentistry. But there possibly is something about teeth. Yeah, his teeth like rotted out of his mouth. I think that goes back to what I said. He liked to eat. He may have definitely had a sweet tooth because, Taurus, ascending. Oh, yeah. He may have possibly had a lot of sweets. Honestly, that's why I said, unfortunately, I feel like most of these babies were a result of the R word. I hate to say it, but I was about to say, how the hell are these women sleeping with you? But they're really not. You're forcing yourself into them. And there we go. Okay. I don't know what house will be legacy, maybe 8th. I don't know. I'll have to look that up later. Like I said, there's something with teeth, definitely. I don't think he had any teeth. I mean, just gumming it, okay? Gumming it up. Like, I don't even know how he possibly chewed because, they didn't have dentures back then. So I guess he had to figure out something. But remember how I said that he used to like to play doctor? Probably slaves, which is terrible. But I wouldn't put it past him, okay? At some point he may have even possibly needed a heart. And I wouldn't even be surprised if there possibly was some stories out there where George Washington was possibly trying to do his own heart transplant, but taking them from slaves. I know that may sound crazy. And even though Leo's sun is the heart, I got a feeling some sort of organ, may not necessarily been the heart, but some sort of organ I feel like he needed. And I almost feel that he was trying to doctor on himself. Somebody may have actually been assisting him with this, but I do feel like he was possibly trying to doctor on himself in this particular, way. And I mean, I hate to say it, guys, maybe in some type of a way, the market was formed during the time of George Washington as president. You see, I really did try to give him his props. I did. I said he was a good mentor. I said, he can talk you out your draws now, which is a talent. And I also said, he did what he was supposed to do in terms of his destiny. But quite frankly, like I said, I don't know if he's going to reincarnate because he kind of fulfilled, like, in a way, what he was supposed to. And the crazy thing is, again, with him being born on the 22nd, and that's number 4, and we look at the sun, he brought wealth to the United States, which also is kind of like what he was supposed to do, a part of his mission. So he, like I said, what was set out in front of him without him even realizing the case. But we can't ignore the crazy shit that was going on behind the scenes. It's so weird that I said he, in terms of abortion, he may be the one that tries to keep the fetus. That's so weird. And then I moved over here and said, I kind of feel like he needed some sort of organ or something like that. And he's like experimenting, trying to fix himself. But he's like possibly operating on slaves or something like that and taking their organs. And that's why I said possibly this is where the black market was formed with George Washington, because he was sick. There was some sort of health issue. Because his Jupiter's hitting his Saturn, his destiny planet. He may have started panicking, which I'm not excusing it. He may have started panicking at some point, and then he's going to that extreme level, which is disgusting. But I'm not going to rule out the possibilities here. Okay? And honestly, I don't even think I want to talk about any more with this one before I just, because it's gross. It is really gross. Oh, they had dentures? Well, see, I didn't know they had dentures during that time. I wouldn't even guess they had dentures. I'm like, where the hell are y'all going to make the dentures from? But again, like I said, I feel like that we have a very experimental type of president, especially whenever it pertains to health. You don't want to, or you didn't want to be around this guy during that time. Because, and that's just my opinion, I feel like he would definitely steal some things off of people that he needed for himself because his health was so bad because he didn't take care of his health. Disgusting. Okay. So I'm about to wrap this up. You guys have any questions? Oh my God. Miss Butter Lee, honestly, I could see that. I honestly could see that. You're just sticking straight to what the chart says. I could see that actually being a fact. That he was, remember I said organs. I mean, we can't rule out teeth in that either. But if based off of history, they just said he was just, using slaves' teeth, which is bad. I think they don't want to tell us the real, that he possibly was using other organs as well, because I just think his was like in bad shape. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Okay. I don't really know where I would look for. I mean, I guess 6th house is health, but I don't even know what his 6th house is in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 houses in Libra. And well, okay, I think his health was pretty bad. His sixth house ruler, says we have Libra, so his sixth house ruler was in the 12th again. So his health was probably very shitty. Oh, God. That's so disgusting. You see, and it's so crazy how I was kind of looking at that. Thank you, Yolanda. It's so crazy how I was looking at that in the chart. I'm like, I don't know about this guy. This guy gives me such black market type of vibes. Like, no bull crap on that one. Oh my God. I'm still like flabbergasted that he's even on a Mount anything. Seriously. Maybe they can put his picture on the bowling alley lane. So then, he can just get smacked every time the ball goes down the lane. That may be more of a preference for me. Or he could be, the shooting range. I got some options here that, we could possibly do with his picture besides putting it on Mount Rushmore. Okay, what we got? He wasn't supposed to be on Mount Rushmore. It was originally supposed to be for Native American leaders. Would you look at that? But we, yeah. We all know that. And that's a shame, isn't it? Oh, he died of throat cancer. Okay. His health was so bad. He's a descendant. Uterus, a concubine. Yeah, I guess we can call her a concubine, but people knew about her. Have you guys ever seen, I'm pretty sure you've seen Django, whenever they went to Calvin Candy's house or before they got there, and he had the very beautiful black woman there with her. I forgot her name. So pretty. She, like, whoever this woman was to George Washington, she kind of gives me that type of vibe when it pertains to like the same woman that was in Django. Same energy, like same look, I would say. And you see how, he took her everywhere, even though we know during that time he owned all those slaves. But I kind of get that vibe with her. Yeah, something like that. So maybe he's just very conniving. Throat infection 4 days later. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Burn. Yeah. You know what, Ruby, you might be onto something. That burning books thing that I talked about, I think you make a great point. He may have helped reset the country by burning books, like just getting rid of all the evidence. He gives me that energy. Just get rid of all the evidence, and then we'll just somebody else will come and just I can see that. That's a good point. Lion Bill, okay. I don't know why everybody wants to think. Maybe okay, guys. He may have a sprinkle of dust of black in him, but it won't be a lot. It wouldn't be a lot. But like I said, I feel like he definitely has some black kids. I would probably go with that. Oh, he paid May of 84 or 1784. He paid several unnamed slaves 122 shillings for a total of 9 teeth to be implanted by a French doctor. I think we're onto something, people, with my theory, possibly. I could be wrong, like I've said all the time, but we might be onto something. Yep. So this was fun. Kind of gave me heartburn, but this was fun. I'm still going to stand by my theory that he was suffraging organs, but that's just a theory. It could be one of those things where he made like pay for half, steal the other half. So then you don't really think that he's going to steal because, hey, he paid. Like, no. No. But maybe the black market was formed under George Washington. Maybe. But anyway, so guys, this was nice. This is cool. I appreciate all you guys sticking in here. I'll be thinking about my next chart that I'm going to do. Another founding father, or I might slide on over to Abraham Lincoln. I'll think about it, but I will see you guys on the next live. Thank you again for sticking around. This live will stay up, so you can always go back and reference it if you want.